There's one thing I do on my farm that makes it so I don't have to spend any time pulling weeds. On our farm, we probably only spend about 4 hours a year pulling weeds. So there's a couple different techniques we do to make sure that we do that, such as stale seed bedding, flame weeding. The thing that I'm going to talk about to you today is how you can use landscape fabrics as a mulch on your beds, put your crops right through, and you will never have to weed them. That's coming up next on The Urban Farmer. Alright, so this is something I started doing in recent years, and it's been such a success that it's reduced our workload by a huge order of magnitude. And what this really is taking a landscape fabric. We use a high-grade landscape fabric. The brand I use is called Sunbelt, and we will burn holes into the fabric and then put it on a bed, and we'll transplant our crop right through it. Now, when that crop is finished, we'll pull the crop out and we'll pull the fabric off. We can reuse them for years and years. I've been using some of the same fabrics for 6 years, and they're still being used over and over again. The ones that go on the beds, like what I'm going to show you here, they don't get walked on, so there's actually very little wear and tear on them. All their purpose is to suppress weeds. So the first thing I do is I go and I buy a 3-foot wide landscape fabric. So that is it's just basically a fabric that will fit over our 30-inch beds perfectly, and the fact that it's wider than the beds is good because then it goes into the walkways a little bit. So we'll first go in with a wooden stencil that I've made, that I've just drilled holes into to represent wherever the density of the crop is that I'm planting. So in this case that we're looking at right here, this is 6-inch spacing for this is what we use Salanova lettuce, what we transplant our Salanova lettuce into. And so I just took a ruler and marked my centers. So you'll notice that the rows here are offset to each other. So the first row is staggered from the second row, and the third row, and so forth. So that this is what we call 6-inch centers, or if I say 10-inch centers, it would be the same thing. It'd be 3 rows offset from each other. So I just go in and I make those marks on my board, and then I drilled some holes in that board, and then essentially that board becomes a stencil that I use. I take some white spray paint and I lay down. I can lay down about 3 or 4 fabrics at once to do this. You can make 3 or 4. To do much more than that, I found, is a little bit tricky. The burning doesn't work as well, but hey, you know what? Somebody out there might find a better way to do this, but this is the way I do it. So we mark out the fabric with the spray paint, go all the way down the bed, then we take our torch. We're basically just using a modified hand torch here. It's just got a little propane tank, a little camp stove propane tank on it, and we've taken a can of a tomato paste can, and we've modified that, and we've taken a 1-inch spring clamp, taken the plastic bits off it, and just clamped it to the end, so it essentially functions like a tiger torch. So you can use a tiger torch for this same thing as well. It's the same process. We fire up that torch, and when that end of the can gets really hot, it essentially just melts through the plastic, and that's what we use to burn the holes through. And then from there, we pull them all apart, and then we're ready to put them on the field, and then we're going to transplant our crops into it from there. So that's essentially it. And this, like I can honestly tell you, this has saved us hundreds of hours of work a year, because for all of our longer term crops, whether they are the tomatoes, our patty pan squash, our kale, even our Salanova lettuce, we don't have to weed ever. And that takes off a huge amount of work for us, and that's really what our farm is all about. I write about this stuff in my book, and you can learn about it in my online course, ProfitableUrbanFarming.com. So I hope that helps. If you want to see more stuff like this, please subscribe to the channel right now, share and like these videos with your friends, and we'll see you again soon. Okay, thanks for watching.